At this point in the newscast, we're in the yourTV studio and we have a special guest. It is Deputy Mayor of the City of North Bay, Maggie Horsefield. Thanks for being here on this Monday.
Thank you very much, Clark, for having me.
It's going to be a busy 48 hours for city business. There is a meeting tonight at City Hall concerning the centennial budget and going over line items on expenses for that. But we certainly wanted to touch on the controversy surrounding City Hall with the mayor and his expenses and awaiting the Integrity Commissioner's report. With all this happening, have your responsibilities as Deputy Mayor increased?
So my roles as Deputy Mayor is typically to step in the absence of the mayor. So I've only chaired meetings when the mayor's been out of town or unavailable. So in that regard, it hasn't increased, but I have attended a number of events like I have over the past 2.5 years, but I have offered to attend events if there were any that were coming up and that I could step into.
There have been rumblings of a protest being staged at City Hall ahead of tomorrow night's meeting. How is City Council handling this distraction?
It's been a lot. There's a lot of things happening at the city. There's a lot of great things that we're advancing along with our capital projects, but it definitely has taken up some of that space. But always open to hearing from the residents and wanting to know what's going on, what they're feeling, what they're thinking. And I think that the best thing that they can do is reach out directly to find out and to have those conversations. Lastly,
before we move on to tonight's meeting, is there a word on when the Integrity Commissioner's report will be made available?
Not that I'm aware of. From the last I understood, the Integrity Commissioner had completed their interviews and was putting together the report. I think we're all impatiently waiting for the results of that.
Back to tonight regarding the Centennial celebration, looking over the budget. The drone show, there was some issues with that and some were canceled. Would that fund that was allotted for the future drone shows be put back into city coffers?
So with the drone shows, yeah, it's one of those challenges where the wind can play a factor in whether they're able to operate. So that'll be a part of whatever the contract negotiations were, whether or not it was complete stipend for the entire 4 shows, even if they didn't perform, or if we could gain some funds back. I don't have an answer at this time, though.
As a whole, how was the Homecoming Festival?
It was lovely. I think over the past 6 months so far into 2025, there's been so many different events, and that's really been the focus of the Centennial celebrations, was not to focus necessarily on one event, but to let the community decide how they wanted to celebrate and how they want to recognize this milestone year. But the Homecoming event was definitely a nice cherry on top for a lot of folks, because there was some nostalgia with the Heritage Festival. A lot of different people came back to the community that weekend, and it was very reminiscent of the good old days and what could be in the future as well.
On Tuesday night, live at 6:30, right here on yourTV, Council will meet. How eager are you to get the ball moving and work together as a whole to get the city business moving forward?
Definitely want to see some things move forward. During the summer, we only typically have 2 meetings just because of the summer hours, but there are a number of things coming up like the 2026 budget, and we want to set the schedule for that to try and get it done before we start the 2026 year. So there's lots on the docket tomorrow night, but I think that we can come together and get things moving again.
And as Deputy Mayor, Budget Chief, you will have your hands full with that. Maggie Horsefield, thank you for being here today.
My pleasure.
And a good transition to our next story. Maggie is a board member on the Federation of Northern Ontario Municipalities. I spoke to President Danny Whalen. He comments on the tariffs on Canadian softwood lumber, which is reaching over 35%.
The U.S. user, not the Canadian mills or anything, but it still has a significant impact. So that's something we have to react to. I've already written to Minister Carney when lumber didn't seem to be getting the attention that it should, and he's since written back to me, and lumber has become an issue with significant funding set aside to countervail the tariff impact. But this is still a significant impact to our lumber industry.
Columbia Forest Products comes to mind off 17 East there, and what other locations would be impacted by this within the Phenom boundaries?
Well, we do have lumber in, we got the mill in Kapuskasing, one in Timmins, but it's even more significant in northwestern Ontario, but all in northern Ontario is being impacted. So we have to figure out, we're going to face hardships regardless. I've always been of the opinion that President Trump imposed a 35% import tariff, we should impose a 35% export tariff. That way, that 35%, if it's paid, will at least come to the Canadian coffers, not the American.
Are
I
jobs at
also,
risk here, Danny?
pardon me?
Are jobs at risk here, Danny?
Most definitely. You know, I think this, as the demand slows down, the mills simply can't keep producing. So yeah, jobs will be at risk.
Is this, in your mind, practical approach for the United States, given the geographical vastness of Canada and the assumed reliance of the United States on Canada for their lumber?
Well, all of the input we've gotten from any of the builders associations in the U.S. is that they prefer Canadian softwood lumber. It's better quality, easier to build with. They do. The U.S. has ample supply. They're just not, it'll take them years to be able to get into proper production.
FNUM President Whalen reiterates his proposed approach to Trump's tariffs.
Trump, to me, is like a cheat in a card game. You know, he just gets you comfortable and he takes you for everything you have. So let's impose an export tax and use that fund to help our lumber industry. And we've heard from all levels of government about the dire need for housing in Canada. So let's start buying our own lumber and using it. You know, we do use a lot of our own harvest, but there's a lot more available to us.